I'm so happy I can finally film this. It's finally here. I don't even know how to start this video. Obviously, I just want to say clearly what this is. I have a podcast and it's out, which is so exciting. If you've ever worked on something, whether it's like a secret project or a project for school or your career or business, it almost doesn't feel real when you've been working on it for so long in private or in secret that when it's finally able to be announced and out into the public, it seems so surreal. And I am pre-filming this, so it's not out like today when I'm filming, so it also doesn't really feel real, but I am just amazed and so excited to finally share with you what I've been working on. I knew that in 2020 I wanted to challenge myself creatively and really expand my reach across platforms and try to think of what more can I do beyond YouTube, you know? I've always wanted to share my poetry and my writing, so maybe some sort of publication of that. If you've ever worked on something for months, when it's finally released or complete or ready to be shared with the world, it is the craziest feeling. I feel like I just birthed a child because that's how much work I've put into this these last few months. It's finally happening. It's here. So I have a podcast. My podcast is called Breaking Up with Makayla Samountry, but not breaking up with Makayla. There needs to be that pause, that separation, so that I don't feel like the entire world's gonna break up with me. But Breaking Up is all about dating stories and breakups, my own experience, my advice, gaining perspective and knowledge, and really listening and learning about other people's experiences with dating. So I have a lot of guest stars on, which are different YouTubers and influencers or friends of mine who share their experience with dating and breakups, what has helped them, what didn't help them. We've got some pretty crazy dating and breakup stories that I'm sharing, as well as my guest stars. It's just wild. It's gonna be a fun time. Breaking Up is available across all of the podcast platforms like Apple Music and Spotify. I wanted to document the process of creating a podcast because it was a new platform that I wasn't familiar with, and after doing YouTube for 5-6 years, I'm super familiar with YouTube. I know how it works. I feel like I've mastered kind of my niche, my style of editing and all of that, but with a podcast it was completely new and I had no idea what I was doing. So I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about my journey discovering how to create a podcast, doing it all on my own, kind of what I learned from it, because this is completely new. It's such a new platform. I had no idea how much goes into it. Even now at the very last steps, I'm still surprised by how much I still have to do in order to promote it and fix it and do all of that. So how this kind of all started is over a year ago, I guest starred on my friend Jan's podcast called Hello 20s, and I had a super fun time. It was my first experience recording an episode, learning how it works, and then once it was released, listening to myself on a podcast, and I really liked it. It was a great experience. Fast forward a year later, she had me on again, and this time we were doing remote filming. So I was on my computer in Minnesota and she was filming from her computer in DC. So after we recorded that episode, I was like, wow, this is really fun. I want to do this more. About a month later, one of my other friends reached out because she is in the works of releasing her podcast. I don't think it's out yet, so I don't want to share too much about it in case I can't. I have a whole vlog about that experience actually that will go up when her podcast is released. But that whole experience, she sent over an outline for me and we recorded for an hour and a half, and I had so much fun sitting at my dining room table, just me and a microphone, chatting about the topics that she wanted to talk about. And as soon as we finished recording, I realized I want to do this because I enjoy talking about these experiences. I feel like I have so much more to say. As much information that I do share on YouTube, it is a different platform. A podcast, you can delve into these stories for 60-90 minutes, and with YouTube you get about 15 to 20 minutes of me rapidly talking, really animated, because it's just the way the platform's dynamics work. So after I recorded with that friend, I realized I'm gonna do this, and I really started the journey of writing down some notes, brainstorming. I had no idea what the title would be, what genre of podcast it would be, what I would even talk about, or when I would release it. I just started to brainstorm, what does really well on my YouTube, what can I convert, what do I enjoy chatting about that I think I would have an endless amount of information to talk about, because with a podcast, it has to be a continuous conversation every single episode, but still within the same niche of content. I kind of started to jot down ideas for a dating podcast since, I share a lot of that on YouTube and you seem to enjoy it. I think I've learned a lot and I can always keep learning and gain experience and perspectives, but I still didn't know what to call it, what the cover art would look like, or any of those details. And then I got drunk. I'm I'm not even kidding. It all came to me when I was very, very wine drunk before bed. The room might have been spinning a little bit, and in my mind, I could see it. I saw it. I saw the cover art. I saw the salmon pink background. I saw the drawn hand squeezing the heart with the words breaking up above it. And I realized that's it. That's my title. That's my topic. That's my niche. I have it. So the next day I wrote it all down, realized that my podcast is going to be called Breaking Up, and I'm going to talk about breakups. I've gone through a handful of them. I might go through some more in my life. I'm only 24, and beyond that, I've learned so much. I have so many stories that I've never shared from my experiences with dating and love lives and heartbreak and all of that. And it's something that as a viewer, I listen to a lot of dating podcasts. Dating Straight with Amy Ordman and Jack Dodge, my favorite. And I love when they have guests on and they ask the guests about their dating history or their relationship, because it's something that on YouTube, not a lot of people share, but then on podcasts, those same creators are opening up about their love life, and I'm a nosy person. Like, I want to hear about that. So I thought, like, who wouldn't love listening to a podcast about breakup stories or things that people have gone through or have learned from, because it's intimate and personal enough where as a podcast listener, it's something that I think you want. I've learned through this process that when you're creating a podcast, unlike YouTube where you have visual and audio aesthetic and descriptions and writings and sound effects, with podcasting, you only have your voice. Like, you just have audio. How do you keep your listeners engaged? How do you keep your audience interested? How do you gain subscribers? It's gonna be a learning curve. I'm gonna have to learn as I go, but that's what makes it so exciting, and quickly realized I had no idea how to make a cover art. I think I have some vlog footage from those days, so I'm just going to insert it here because I really wanted to vlog this experience. Hi guys. I'm not sure if this is going to be the start of the video or just a clip in the middle, but I did want to document this process because it's been kind of like unexpected, but also very exciting at the same time. Like, I never planned on this, but as soon as I started planning on it, it all seemed to click right away, if that made any sense. Basically, I want to document my journey of creating my own podcast called Breaking Up with Makayla Samountry. Not breaking up with Makayla, but like breaking up with Makayla Samountry. Basically, I just realized that I love recording podcast episodes. I've guest starred on 3 various episodes, and the last one that I just recorded, as soon as we stopped, I realized, like, why aren't I doing this? Like, I have so much fun. I have so much to say. I love listening to podcasts. I have so many that I always listen to every single day. Why not create that content, get more stories out there, share what I have to say on a platform that I'm not using? So the next thing that kind of happened really felt visceral, like a dream almost. It was just very, very like unimaginable. Basically, I had too much wine, got very, very drunk one night, and as I was falling asleep, I could see it in my mind. I could see my cover art for my podcast. It was there. I was like, oh my God, that's the title. This is what it's gonna look like. It was like I had a vision, and I'm not even joking. So once I had the cover art, I was pretty confused. I don't have any experience with graphic design. I knew the image that I wanted. I just had no idea how to get that into existence. So it started out right here on this document. As you can see, podcast. Find a genre that isn't already succeeding. What makes me stand out? What can I talk about infinitely about that others would enjoy? And then as soon as it hit me here, I was like, breaking up. That's my first cover art attempt. And I knew, I was like, I want an image of a hand squeezing a heart. I want corals, pastels. I want it to be like TUMBLR vibes. And then I started brainstorming episode ideas. And as you can see, it really never stopped. Underneath that list, I have a list of all the guests that I want on, and then all the questions that I'll ask the guests. So it really did just like come to life. I went from having no clue that I wanted to start a podcast to everything hitting me all at once, like, wow, I need to do this now. Since it is like a one-woman team over here, and I just have no idea how I'm going to do it. I just like know I have to do it. I told myself I just need to accomplish one thing every single day to get this happening. So some days it was just writing out ideas. Other days it was creating a vision board, which I'll show you right now on my Pinterest. Since, like I said, I still had no idea how I was going to create my podcast cover that like I had in my head, but I just didn't know. So it started here on my little hidden podcast cover Pinterest folder. These were all of my inspirations. It's basically just like a ton of drawn hands hands in different poses, and then colors and hearts and all of that, and like nails. So you can kind of see it like there, 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 and there. But I was pretty clueless to like, okay, how do I get this image in my head to be digital art? I reached out to one of my friends, Mariah, who does graphic design, and she kind of helped like reassure me with like the steps that I needed to take. But basically she told me I needed to draw up what I wanted first. So here we have all of my hand drawings for the cover of my podcast, starting with this one, which I knew was really bad. Then this one, which, you know, getting there. This one was closer. This one, I was like, okay, I can work with this. I retraced it and I made this one and I was like, that looks pretty good. And then I cleaned it up. So it's just one clear outline. I took a photo of this, and I do have some clips from that night. So if it's easier, I'll just insert the clips there. I'm trying to draw my cover art for my podcast, and it is so difficult. I have no idea how I'm going to pull this off for you, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to draw something. Let me show you my demo cover art that I made last night. It's so terrible, but it's like my idea. It's my visual representation as to what I want. I made this on PicMonkey last night. For the most part, it's what I want. I like the font up here. I like the font down there. I like the pink background, the red text, and the white text. I'm not sure about the border yet. And in the middle, I want a left hand with long, sharp pink nails, squeezing a realistic heart with red blood dripping down. I can see it in my mind. I just don't know how to get something like this up there. But we're working on it, and I've been texting my friend Mariah, who does graphic design, for some help and guidance, and she has a lot of great advice. I might end up needing her help. I'm not really sure yet. This is what goes into the making of a podcast, and I want to document this. Like something that you wouldn't even think this much time went into regarding a podcast. I spent days, but physically a few hours, coming up with the first draft of it. I'm so happy right now. This is it. I can feel it in my heart. I did it. Then that drawing became this transparent piece of art, which ultimately led to this. So creating that cover art was a big step for my podcast. It took me a few days, and like I said, every single day I just wanted to complete one piece of it. Like last night, I wanted to complete just the digital hand, and then today I completed the full cover art. I wrote up the podcast description that you'll see when you hit the podcast on any platform. I'm doing this all through Anchor, if you're curious, because I know that this might be kind of more like a video about how to start your own podcast. I also decided, since it's a breakup podcast, that I want it to be released on Valentine's Day this year, which is in about 3 weeks, which seems very manageable. So today, the thing that I wanted to complete today was actually my outline of episode 1. I'm trying to zoom out so you can't read it, but here we have my outline so far for what I'm going to talk about in the first episode of my podcast. I also reached out to you guys on the YouTube community tab and my Instagram, so make sure that you're following my Instagram so you get notifications about stuff like this, because I want this podcast to be very inclusive and collaborative. So I reached out to you guys. I'll copy and paste your stories into the script as well, and then tomorrow's to do will be to record, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, I just wanted to document the process of me starting this podcast, because every single day I feel like I am just blossoming with more and more ideas, and everything is just fitting together. I'm so excited. It was so unexpected, but as soon as I started, like I said, it just felt right. Like it fell into place. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I'm already working on merch ideas too, so I might drop that in a little bit, but I'm so pumped. This is the journey. Get excited. I'm so excited. Every single day I was learning something new. I was challenging myself, and I told myself, as long as I accomplish something every single day that will lead me further and further to releasing this podcast, I will feel like I'm doing something. There are so many details that I just had no idea I needed to do before releasing a podcast, the cover art being one of them. By the time I was ready to record episodes, I had written out maybe like 3 or 4 separate scripts just to read from, until I realized that I think on episode 3 I talk about it, because I've filmed a lot of them. As nice as it is to have notes with filming a podcast, I'd rather not read off of a script because it seems too like fake almost and rehearsed. I'd rather just like talk and see what happens. I know I vlogged a lot of the process, so I'm just going to insert some clips. Well, big updates on the podcast progress. So I have written up both scripts for episode 1 and episode 2. I realized that when I was recording the episode with Maddie on her podcast, she gave me like an outline of everything she was going to ask me, so I had time to like prep out my answers and stuff, and I really enjoyed being able to read what I wrote ahead of time while filming a podcast. So I'll show you a quick preview of that since they're already going to be up. This is everything I wrote out for episode 1. I spent like 2 days perfecting it. I don't want to say who said in what, but I have some screenshots of when I asked my followers for like their stories on something. Guys, please make sure that you're following me on Instagram so that you can be part of my podcast like this. So this is all stuff for episode 1, which will be very exciting to film. I'm sure I talk about it, but episode 1 is like an introduction on me, my dating history, and then since I'm releasing it on Valentine's Day, I tell like a story about a Valentine's Day in the past when my teacher's son stood me up. Yeah, it's quite the story. And then I want to record in bulk so that I am prepared. So I also yesterday spent a few hours writing out a script for episode 2. I don't know if episode 2's topic has been released yet. I mean, I guess I'll tell you guys here since this is like the inside scoop, and hopefully you'll come back in a week to listen to this one. But this episode is all about how I forced my ex to break up with me. So I go through that story, and I think this is like 6 pages. Yeah, just about. So I go through that whole story. And then, so I have these prepped. I'm going to record these episodes tonight after my meeting with Google for something else that I'm working on. And then, like real small, so you can't read all my plans, this page is a list of all the guests that I have planned to be on my podcast, since a lot of the episodes will focus on other people's breakup stories and all that stuff. So the next step on the agenda tonight is to write out a list of interview questions and create an outline that I can send out to them via email so that they can prepare. But yeah, that is what's going on. We've got episode 1 right here that I will record tonight, and then I'm going to also record episode 2. I'm so excited to get this thing going. Like, I have everything else figured out. You know, I have it completely set up on Anchor. I have the descriptions made. I have all the plans. The only thing missing is me actually recording the episodes, and I'm good to go. This is amazing. I also stayed up until 5:30 in the morning last night working on another big secret part of my podcast, which maybe you'll be able to guess. I don't know. But I'm releasing that in a week, in a month. I'm not sure yet. Should I just release it now? I don't even know. But it's done and it's ready to go. As I did mention, I have a meeting with my team at Google for the project that I'm working on with them, but I will record my podcast episodes over there on the table. I have my microphone all ready to go. But this is exciting stuff. We officially have 2 weeks before the launch date of my podcast, because I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm going to release it on Valentine's Day. I just figured it would be perfect just because of what my podcast is about. So I have officially 2 weeks. Today I was texting and confirming plans to record guest starred episodes with some friends. You know, things are moving quickly and I'm going to get this off the ground and running. I cannot wait. Okay, Marnie, it's happening. I am sitting down to film the very first episode of my podcast. Just wanted to document the moment. Because no matter where this platform takes me, no matter what happens, this will always be the beginning. This will always be how it started. And sometimes when you want to go for something, you just gotta do it. Just start it and see what happens. So, enough chit chat, and let's chat about breaking up. Turning my phone on silent so that I don't hear any distractions and noises that could mess up recording. I'm kind of nervous, but I also I'm so just excited. And we're live! This is very exciting. It is the first episode, so thank you so much for being here. We're gonna have a lot of fun, so I hope that you hit subscribe and enjoy the ride. Okay, that was kind of corny, but welcome to Breaking Up with Makayla Samountry. That's me. It's been a wild few weeks learning how to release a podcast. I went through the process of creating my cover, learning Illustrator and graphic design. I'm sure this might be really simple to some people that understand graphic design, but I had no idea. So taking an image in my head and perfecting it on paper, converting it onto my laptop, using a Illustrator app to design it, and then perfecting it, that was wild to me. And even now, weeks later, I'm realizing that I need to create promotional templates to promote each episode with. I created an Instagram for my podcast. But yeah, the first episode is out now, so make sure that you check out Breaking Up with Makayla Samountry on any podcast platform. Make sure that you subscribe. Stick around, because as I kept recording more and more episodes, I feel like the episodes just get better and better as I learn and record more and keep going. I mean, if you compare someone's first YouTube video to their content now, you can definitely see growth, and I'm learning that with podcasts as well. Yeah, it's exciting. It's wonderful. I recorded a few episodes with guests already as well, so you might recognize some familiar voices on there. I also have an Instagram, so I created an Instagram to go along with my podcast. We'll have like additional content over there, so make sure that you follow my podcast Instagram. I think it's going to be at breakingup_podcast or something like that. I need to see which handles are available, but follow me on my new Instagram for that and subscribe to my podcast. I'm releasing episodes every single Thursday morning. I'm gonna share a lot that I've never shared on YouTube. I'm talking with guests that have shared stories that they have never shared anywhere else as well, so it's gonna be really, really fun, and I'm just excited to see where this takes me. And what's crazy is this isn't the only big announcement that I have for you this month of February. Obviously, February 14th, Valentine's Day, there really isn't a better release date for this podcast. What could be better than releasing my dating podcast than on Valentine's Day? However, stay tuned because I have even more announcements coming later this month. I cannot believe how much is happening so far in 2020. I have a lot of dreams, goals, ambitions on my social media, YouTube, like resolutions list for 2020, and this is one of them. I didn't want to make this video too long because I really did just want to hop on here and tell you guys the news that I have a podcast. Oh, it's so cool to be able to say that, and I'm having a lot of fun recording episodes and talking about some of these experiences I've gone through that I've never really opened up about before. So make sure you're subscribed to my new podcast. How many times can I say that in this video? Breaking Up with Makayla Samountry. I'm so excited. It's gonna be great. Hope you give it a listen. Hope that you enjoy and stick around. Don't forget to follow my podcast's Instagram as well as my socials. Yeah, I hope you're having a wonderful Valentine's Day. Whether you're in a relationship, married, or single, carve out some self-care time. And with that, I'm gonna go and film my next announcement video, which you'll see on this channel, I think in a week, about a week. So make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel as well. All of the links that you need to find these new projects in my podcast will be down below, but it's out there. I just can't believe that all of the hard work that I've put into this, all of the nights that I stayed awake until like 4 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning working on this, that it's finally done and it's out there. It was such a learning process. I've learned so much through creating this podcast. Everyone that has a podcast, I respect you because it takes a lot of work and there are so many details behind the scenes that I've never realized you have to focus on and take days to complete. So it was great, and I'm excited to see where this new platform takes me. Podcast release date. This is unbelievable. Well, thank you for watching, and hopefully thank you for listening to my podcast. My baby's out there in the world, and I hope the world treats her kindly. Okay, I need to go. Bye.